Hey, welcome back to the 260. Today we are diving quite literally with Fort Wayne Fire Department's dive team. We're going to learn all the ins and outs and how to be a part of this team and the inner workings with Brad Garton. And spoiler alert, it's not just looking cool in a wetsuit. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Let's suit up and get started. We'll dive in here.
Okay.
But hopefully we don't get a run in between
my gosh.
that.
I'm looking at the screen right now. We look pretty good.
2 runs an hour.
2 runs an hour.
For you guys. So, yeah. Well, we are off location today again. So, we're at the fire station at Fire Station 6. Whoop, whoop, the zoo.
Well, shout out.
So, Brad, we're here to talk about the dive team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you are heading that up right now, right?
Yes, I'm newly appointed. I guess it's an appointed spot.
How long have you been in it altogether?
On the team?
Yeah.
Geez, that's probably something I should know. 16 years probably, right around there. So I've been in the team lead role for maybe 6 months now, 5 months. But before that was a shift leader for about 3 years. And each shift, A, B, and C, have their own shift lead. But then there's an overall team leader who makes financial decisions with Chief Maloney right now. So some directions and, budgetary issues and things like that, and equipment, upgrades. So it's kind of a different role. You're not really the command for the dive team on scene typically. You can definitely fill that role in this position, but this is more of an administrative role, which is new to me, but
yeah,
it's fun.
How does that feel? Because you've been in a lot of operational leadership roles, and now you're like, I'm switching to like that administrative role. And you said it's new. Are you noticing anything that's kind of odd or?
Well, there's equipment, right, that we think we should have, or we feel like, oh, this would be nice to have. Well, it's not just go out and buy it, right? You have to have
money for it.
You have to have money for it, first of all, and then you have to put it out to bid and, all these other things. And it's opened my eyes to, as a department that, we would love to have the newest, greatest equipment. Well, hell, that could be millions of dollars to equip a fire department our size, or even a dive team our size. If we're just talking, small potatoes on the dive team, right? We have 42 members, or potential for 42 members on the team. It's been eye-opening that, you can't just go buy stuff from Walmart, and go pick something up if you need something. But especially dive stuff, it's very specific to what we do. And there's only one shop in town that does it. And it's kind of tough because you can't just go there, right? As a city, we have to put it out for bid and whatnot. So
yeah, it's annoying, that process, because when I first went from operations to an admin type role, and I'm like, this makes sense. It should be done right now.
Right.
And it's no, I have to wait for this person to figure their stuff out, and then this person, and then it has to go through this person, and then I get my answer.
Right. Boots on the ground. We dive on Sundays typically, right? So I'll get text messages on Sunday night or Monday morning. We've got to fix this. This broke, and this, it would be so nice to have this or that. And it's let's do it tomorrow, right? Let's do it tomorrow. Why not just go buy it?
Yeah.
In my dumb little mind, right? Hey, we saved some money in the budget on this item. Let's go buy this item. It's not necessarily how it works, but
oh yeah.
Although I will say Chief Maloney has been great in his role for us, and very big advocate for the dive team. He always has said, if you need it, we'll get it. If you want it, ask me, and we'll do whatever we can to get it to you, right? So needs are obviously needs. We need stuff. But our wish list is big, and he's been very open about providing our wish lists. So
that's good. So let's kind of dive in here. So what certs do you need to be on the dive team, or how do you what's that process look like to get on it?
So there's a lot of different agencies out there. There's several different agencies out there that you can do off duty. and get certified to be a diver, a scuba diver. The fire department has adopted Dive Rescue International's certifications, and we are public safety divers and dive rescue specialists. So those are the certs that we hold. It's funny because you'll go off site and go dive in like Florida, right? So I just got back from Florida in July, and the very first time I went down there with these people, they looked at my cert. She took it outside to the captain of the boat, and he looks at it, kind of shakes his head, like, never heard of this before. And they're like, well, give us your money and you can come with us. We've never heard of this, right? So I was talking to the captain on the way back, and he's like, you guys probably dive way worse conditions than what you see out here, right? I'm like, absolutely. We dive completely way too heavy, right? To sink to the bottom and search through the muck and the mud. And we're tied up in a dry suit with, all these cutting tools and things, and, tied to a rope. Whereas if you go free dive, right, in the ocean, it is glorious. It's just like you're floating and you don't have to dive into the mud and sink. And it's just, it's a completely different scenario. What we do is pretty technical in the fact that, there's a lot of hazards, but it's different than diving in the open ocean.
A less pretty fish and coral and a little muckier.
A little muckier, yeah.
So what does that look like when you're getting your dive cert? Do you have to have so many dives? Is it like a class?
It's a class. We just put 6 people through it. 5 finished the class, and I believe they did 6 dives, and there's still some more dives that they have to complete. In our world, on the fire department, you apply to be on one of our spots when there's an opening. And when the class comes around, typically in the spring or the fall, then you can get into that class and get certified. But all the while, you're still going to trainings as a trainee, right? You're listed as a trainee on the manpower sheets, and you can't dive operationally. So then once we put you through class, you get certified. And after you're certified for a year, then you can start making operational dives, as like a rescue or a recovery or whatever.
What does it look like when you get like a new person that's like, okay, they're good to go? Do you just like throw them in and hope they swim?
We do. Yeah. It is baptism by fire. I'll kind of throw Hammer under the bus here real quick. One of the most dangerous things we do, and I think a lot of people can attest to this, the most dangerous thing we do is do an ice dive in the winter, right? And poor Josh, we didn't know this, I guess. I probably should have known, but his first, we call it a tethered dive. His first tethered dive was an ice dive. And he was kind of not saying anything about it until he got done with it. And he's like, yeah, that's the first time I've ever been on a rope, was under the ice. And so yeah, it is baptism by fire, right? You have the certification, you've been through the class, show us what you got, kind of a thing, go do it. And cool. It is relatively safe, right? We have backup divers, we have all of the people on shore, and you're tethered to a rope, right? So if things go awry, most of the time you can just stand up, right? I mean, we're diving in 5 to 6 feet of water, but obviously under the ice, that's completely different. But
that's like, is it SpongeBob? I think of like all like the memes of people like, oh, I'm drowning. Right. Like, just stand up.
Stand up, please. Yeah.
Now, when you guys train, how do you train?
So we will train, a lot of times we will go to our local rivers here. We dive on Sundays, and we'll do scenario-based dives, or we'll do evidence dives. We have a couple fake firearms that we'll throw in. We also have watercraft in our fleet that we will train with. We have sonar. We have a portable sonar unit, and we have it's called a live scope. You can actually see the person in motion as the sonar is making its rounds. It's a 360-degree sonar.
Oh, that's cool.
It is wild. You're basically watching TV, and whoever's watching the screen can relay to the tender, hey, this is our target. He's getting close, or she's getting close. You need to, come in 5 feet. You're too far from our target. You can kind of see that on this device. So there's scuba diving to train for, right? And all the scenarios that entails. Plus, there's also watercraft involved. Handling boat motors and boats, and in moving water in lakes and ponds, and also the technology that comes along with the sonar devices.
That is interesting. What kind of runs do you guys go on? So how often do you get deployed, and what do you typically see? I'm assuming anything water related, but
Anything water related. I mean, we talk about, just stand up, right? We just had that joke. And some of the times people are not in, water where they can't just stand up. The problem is too, there's mud, a lot of times or muck, and people can get stuck, right? So we will respond to anything where there's a person or a vehicle with people in it in the water. We do respond to abandoned vehicles in the water, but we don't know that they're abandoned per se. We still have to do our due diligence to make sure that that vehicle is clear and all around the vehicle, right? That's what we do. We ensure that there's nobody, left in the water or left in the vehicle. Life safety rescue, right? In water, on ice, anything near the water, vehicle recoveries. Most recently, we've been doing some evidence searching for the police department, whether it's from clothing or a dead body that's been dumped over a bridge or off of one of the ramps, the boat ramps, or we have looked for weapons several times.
that has to be an extra layer of difficult looking for like an article, right? Because like you said, you're searching in the mud. So how are our rivers? Like we're in Fort Wayne, Indiana. How are our rivers? Are
they get a bad rap, right?
Yeah.
And they get a bad rap of, being dirty and gross. And it has, like I said, I've been on the team for almost 15, 16 years. They don't stink or smell. There's not like dead floating fish. They're actually pretty clean. They're just, the bottoms are muddy, right?
Yeah,
so you're just not going to get blue, pristine looking water, right? For the most part, our rivers are mostly a sandy, bottom. It's the ponds and the lakes that really have a lot of muck in them. But the rivers are really nice to dive in. They carry their own levels of difficulty, being that there's moving water, there's debris, from bridges and trees and all the other things. But
what's it like swimming like in a high current?
Oh, it's so difficult.
You're so winded at the end of it.
Oh my gosh. So a lot of times we, obviously the downstream path or search pattern that we do a lot of what we call fan patterns, right? If you picture the tender stays on shore and you go out and you swim and they pull you in a couple feet, you swim the other way, they pull you in a couple more feet, right? We do a lot of those fan patterns, and the upstream swim, it can be terrible, right?
Oh,
I mean, the one pass we just did a couple of weeks ago took me personally 7 minutes to complete. One path or one pass.
Oh, wow.
So what we found was do the downstream one, right? Walk to shore, go upstream, and do the downstream ones only. And that really works out. You conserve a lot of air actually, and you're not nearly as winded as you are trying to swim upstream. But it can be very challenging.
It can be very challenging.
Very challenging. And we have a way to measure the current. We only dive if it's below 2 knots. We're not going to, put somebody in danger if it's faster than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you put an aircraft? Do you put a watercraft out on that, or
no? We can, but the way we measure it is we measure out a certain distance, and we'll throw a stick in, and then we'll time it from this point to that other point. And if it's below a certain, if it takes a certain amount of time for that stick to pass each point, then we'll dive. If it's too fast, we won't dive.
And you won't even put a boat out on it?
Oh, we could put a boat. That's different.
Okay.
We could run sonar off the boat, but we just won't put a diver in the water.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's too dangerous. Now, we can push the elements, but it's,
Let's not.
If it's a legit rescue, our guys are very aggressive, and we could, push the limits a little bit. But again, we have these safety parameters in place for a reason.
Yeah.
You would hate to have to call somebody's family.
How many runs do you guys go on a year? Off the top.
Well, I'm proud to say that we are probably the busiest team. There's no doubt about that, of the hazmat, the sort team, and the scuba team. Without pulling the data, I would say we make 2 to 3 runs every month.
Oh, really?
On average.
I guess that's not that surprising, because people are always like, because you get called even if someone's on the bridge, like threatening to jump in, right?
Possibly a jumper, or they maybe heard a splash. It might have just been a fish or something crazy. Those runs but you still get activated, right?
Yeah.
So it's still a run.
Inactivated.
Yeah.
But how do you train for like these low frequencies, but like high stress runs, when you're searching for bodies?
So we'll do scenario based trainings sometimes. And one of the biggest things that we have a problem with, or not a problem, but one of our biggest challenges is trying to find the last scene point of the person that's missing, right? And if we can narrow that down with the witnesses that called, we are spot on, and we are, getting that person out in minutes. Yeah. As long as the last scene point is accurate and good information. A week and a half ago or so, they re-interviewed the witness, and she was like, "Oh, no, he wasn't that far out." So they brought the diver in, and within a minute or two, or within a pass, they found the missing person, right? We weren't there when the incident happened a lot of times, or hardly ever. So we're only going on what somebody else is telling us. So we're really burdened by that. But if we can, narrow down, the last scene point, our divers they're spot on every time.
Is there like any tips and tricks?
First of all, you find all the witnesses, right? There could be several from even different sides of the pond. And it can be daunting to separate them and take them back to where they were when they saw the person, right? Or last saw the person, and then try to triangulate where they were. So you try to pick up on a big rock or a specific tree or something like that on the opposite shore. And then a lot of the times we'll take there'll be rocks or, sticks or something on the shore that we can kind of toss in. Hey, do you see that splash? Ask them if that was pretty close. Was it last winter or the winter before? We had a tragic incident where some kids were playing on ice on a pond, and they slid off the ice shelf. And the one witness, we re-interviewed her. Teams had been there, some of the crews had been there for several minutes, 10 or 15 minutes before the dive team got there. And once we re-interviewed her, I threw a pebble in, and she's like, "Oh, right there. That's right where the kid was at." So we pulled the diver right there, and within, I'm going to say, a minute, we found him. And not that anybody did anything wrong, right? It's just
you're only as good as the information that you're
only
getting.
As good as that information. It's like a computer, right?
Yeah.
Good input equals good output. And
I do like that tip and trick, using the opposite shoreline, throwing in a rock, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
and you
good.
kind of have to go back to where you were when you saw that person, right? It's kind of hard to, if you're on one side of the shoreline when you saw them and you come all the way over to the scene and now you're looking at it from a different angle, you might start to second guess what you actually saw. Yeah. So unfortunately, sometimes you have to walk with somebody all the way back around where they were and, continue our interrogation or interview with them.
Interrogation.
Interview is probably a better word.
Yeah, let's stick with interview.
Nobody's under Garrity. Nobody's under arrest here. We're not.
Well, they might.
They might be.
Might be.
You're right.
Maybe they dumped the body. Oh, man. All right. So what is a common misconception about your team?
Well, they call us the swim team, or like we're diving off diving boards, right?
Yeah.
I think the common misconception is that it is it can be dirty, right? But that the rivers are gross, and there's needles and, drug paraphernalia and, all kinds of, fecal matter and stuff like that. It's not, they're not dirty. I wouldn't drink it, but yeah, it's
you'd swim in it.
We'll swim in it, right? I mean, people kayak and fish and enjoy the rivers all over the city, and they're not
that dirty.
The rivers of the 1980s. I feel like they were dirty back then, but they've actually been cleaned up quite a bit.
Have you ever swam into a fish?
I have not. There are stories out there of guys that they'll be swimming along the bottom and they'll bump a catfish or something, or but
I'm told the catfish are huge. Yeah,
they're huge. Some of them. We talked to, a lot of times we'll be out there training, and fishermen will come up and down the river, and they're fishing, and they'll show us what they've caught, or tell us stories of what they've caught, whether you believe them or not, right?
The fish always gets bigger,
right?
Like the
Yep.
The bigger, like the more you tell the story, the bigger the fish gets.
I'm a fisherman. I get it.
Yeah. My husband did that here recently. So we have some pretty big bass in our pond.
Yeah.
And like he kept telling everyone, and his hands just kept getting bigger as he was like talking about it. I'm like, it didn't get that big.
It wasn't that big.
It wasn't that big.
Not a whale.
I'm like, we do not have huge fish in our pond.
Yeah.
But they're pretty big for, I mean, the size of the pond. I mean, it's a quarter size acre. But yeah, I mean, it's.
Can you put your fist in the mouth? That's a big fish.
No. But pretty close. Give them a few years and you'll probably be able to do that. But yeah. Do you have any memorable or impactful calls that you guys have been on?
Yeah, I mean, like the kid last winter, that was a memorable one. The response time from when we got dispatched to when he was pulled out of the river was right around 20 minutes.
Really?
Which seems like a long time, but in our world, right, you have to figure that our team has to assemble from different stations. We're all at different stations typically. We have to get the equipment from station 1 to the scene. We have to get dressed and do all these witness interviews and get our last scene point and get all of the information. And there's so many ropes and communication lines and units to get down there. You have to have 3 divers, right? You have to have the primary diver, a backup for that primary diver, and then a 90%er. That's somebody that's dressed to 90% in case you have a problem, right? So you have all these moving parts to get in place and to the riverside or pond side, and then get into the water and find the person, right? So to be dispatched to 20 minutes and have the victim pulled out, it's incredible. It happened that we were already training, so we were already assembled, and we were just picking up from we had a pool day up at Carroll High School, and it just happened that we were all together. It still ended tragically, but operationally and tactically, it went flawlessly. So like, we hang our hats on that, right? Like,
you got to have some win.
Right.
Yeah. And like, you're going into these situations knowing that you're not, I mean, it's water, a long downtime in water. I mean,
we were hopeful that since it was cold water, we were hopeful that the outcome would have been different. But in our world, it is tough. When you go subsurface, it's tough to recover from. There's stories out there, right, around the world, and of people being down for an hour or two in cold water and being revived to pre-incident status. It's possible, right? That's why we do what we do.
For your team, it sounds like you guys are very resilient, and then like on it with like your mental health, because I mean, I've heard some stories that, man, like I know that has to be hard on you guys.
Yeah. It's been tough, right? And the department is really good about, on that day, they took us out of service. We all stayed at Station 1 in their kitchen, and we all just kind of had a debriefing. They brought people in. The CISM team came in, and they gave us an hour or two to just decompress, really, which is great because we all know as the team that while we're training, other people are dispersed and backfilling, or they're not at their home station, and we're acutely aware of that. But in that instance, it was nice to have that time and be given that time and
just decompress, cry if you need to cry, yell if you need to yell, laugh if you need to laugh. Like all of the emotions are appropriate in those situations. What advice would you give to a new person that wants to get into this, that's hearing like these stories?
Give it a shot. Come out, right? If you're interested in the team, you can even tag along as manpower allows. There's been instances where somebody, wanted to put in for the team. There's an open spot, but they weren't sure about it. So let's let them tag along, right? Let's come to a couple trainings, see what we're all about. We don't swim a lot, right? So people are like, I'm not a good swimmer. You don't have to be a good swimmer. We do have an annual swim test you have to pass. But when we are diving, we typically put a lot of weight on, we sink into the mud, and we search, right? That's where we don't do a lot of surface swimming, right? So, you do have to be comfortable in the water, right? And you have to be comfortable in zero visibility. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's heavy, it's hot, or cold, right? It could be both. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Do you ever get turned upside down when you're diving? Like, forget like which way's up?
Just watch your bubbles, right?
You just watch your bubbles.
Yeah, watch your bubbles. So
you're like, yeah, sometimes it kind of happens.
Sometimes it's fun to invert, right? And just kind of look up and see the sun shining through either through the ice or, if you're down below the water in like one of the ponds or something where we have visibility.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. You just invert and you just exhale and you can kind of see your bubbles go up through the sunbeams coming through the water. But,
yeah. Because I think of like pilots. I know they can get topsy-turvy sometimes.
Right. We don't get that way. It's too much, right? I mean, zero visibility, I guess it could happen a little bit.
Yeah, at night.
Bubbles.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of night diving. Actually, we just don't do that. It's pretty dangerous, right? Yeah.
Even if like it's a pond.
It kind of depends on the situation, right?
River, no. Pond, still water, maybe.
Yeah. Is it a dive where we know the water, whether we, is it right near the boat ramp where it's nice and rocky or, sandy? And usually it's pretty clear of debris. Is it a rescue? Is it like, did somebody see their friend go down or something? Or is it like, what's the story here?
Yeah.
We're going to risk a lot to save a lot, right? That's that's our mission statement. But if there's really nothing to be saved, right? We're not going to put somebody at risk to go hook a car that went into the river and the driver is standing on shore saying, hey, I was the only one in the car, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happened. The story, how the car ended up in the drink there's many reasons why that would happen. But if we believe their story, we might just wait till the morning kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But if there's a legit rescue, we'll risk a lot to save a lot.
For everyone out there listening, again, like as we're kind of going through these specialty teams, if you're interested in them, just shout out and ask our leaders, Brad Garton, hey, I'm interested. Job shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't work for Fort Wayne Fire and there's other teams out there, you go check out theirs, see what they're doing. Right? All right.
Very cool. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Leave it better than you found it.